Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the All Around Growth Podcast. My name is Rob Kaiser, and I am your host. The title of today's show is Dream, Plan, Act. And today we are going to discuss the 2022 Goal Setting Workbook by Dan Miller, which will be linked to in the show notes. I would highly encourage you to check out the show notes, check out this workbook, and download it and go through it with me over the next 14 days. The objective of this whole exercise is to have our goals outlined by 2022, or for 2022, by November 14th. So I've got the workbook with me, and we are going to discuss some of the aspects of it, and this may be an extended series, and this may draw into tomorrow as well if I don't cover everything that I want to cover today. For those of you who are new, this is a show that provides insight and tools to building the life and homestead of your dreams. And the beginning of this workbook begins with a quote as follows: "All beginnings are hopeful." This is actually a quote from the president of Oxford University, spoken to the entering freshmen in 1944, in the midst of a world war. Before I expand on some of the remaining contents in this workbook, I think that that's important to understand. All beginnings are hopeful. The year 2020 for many of us was a challenging year. The year 2021, quite frankly, was a bit more challenging for me personally than 2020. And after some correspondence with you guys in the Telegram group at t.me/allaroundgrowth, I know that 2021 has been a bit more challenging than 2020 for you guys as well. Quote, "I'm convinced we can create a massive ripple effect to contribute to the solutions for a better life for ourselves, for our families, for our country, and ultimately the world." Close quote. That's what this is about. When we begin taking care of ourselves, we are better able to take care of our families, our country, and ultimately the world. And the way that we take care of ourselves begins with a dream. With utilizing resources like this, we put together a plan, and come 2022, we act. Remember, all beginnings are hopeful. And if you're not sure about this, if you're not sure whether or not you can take this on, if you're just not sure about a lot of things, what your goals are, etc., etc., remember that indecision is the greatest thief of opportunity. Now, a lot of these quotes and a lot of the things that I'm talking about come from this worksheet. And I want to make it very clear that this is not my work. This is Dan Miller's work. And it's important to understand that giving credit where credit is due is important. And because I feel that this is so important, I'm sharing it with you because it's been of tremendous benefit to me. And I'm confident that if you begin the same process that I've been working through the past 2 evenings, that it will have the same impact on you that it's having on me. The first category that we work through in the worksheet, or in the workbook rather, Well, before I go there, on page 3 of the workbook, there are before I go any further, the nice thing about this workbook is it is in a PDF format that's editable. You can type your information in there, your responses to the questions or the prompts, and you can print it out for easy reference at all times. So that's nice. One of the things that I did prior to going into the 7 different aspects of the goals that we're setting for next year, prior to that, there's 4 questions that were asked. If we were meeting 3 years from today, what has to have happened during that 3-year period for you to feel happy about your progress? What are the biggest challenges you'll have to face and deal with in order to achieve that progress? What are the biggest opportunities you have that you can focus on and capture to achieve those things? And what strengths will you need to reinforce and maximize? And what skills and resources will you need to develop that you don't currently have in order to capture those opportunities? Now, I opened a Word document and typed those questions out and typed my responses, because these 4 questions that precede the work that we do within the 7 categories are not editable. There is not a field for that, but these are critical questions that I think are worth answering and printing out along with this. So if you want to do that, great. If you don't, that's okay too. But in order to maximize the full potential of this workbook, I decided to step it up and do this as well. Now, like I said, the first category that we begin working through is financial. I'm not entirely sure why these categories are listed in the way that they are. It's not alphabetical. But if I had to speculate as to why our financial goals are first when we work through this worksheet, based on my own experience over the past couple of years, going through Financial Peace University, grinding to get out of debt after making a number of bad decisions in the past, when I finally got to that point after working through Financial Peace University for over 3 years, when I finally became debt-free last year, and when I finally began establishing my emergency savings fund from that $1,000 up to what approached 3 to 6 months of savings, I'd never had more clarity with my thought process than I did at that point. And that continues now, despite the fact that I've accrued some additional medical debts due to the health issues that I've been experiencing this year. But nevertheless, when we begin to work through our finances, everything else seems to fall in place. I know so many people who justify the debt that they carry for all sorts of reasons. And I understand that because I did that for decades. I did it after I went through a bankruptcy. I've been through this cycle time and again of going into debt, eliminating it somehow, in one case of bankruptcy, the second case paying it off in full by the time I ended up in a coma back in 2013, only to begin the process all over again. So, some of the questions that we ask ourselves when we're going through finance is, if you can't dream it, it won't happen. And I wanted to dig into some of those questions at a stop sign back there, but I've got a vehicle behind me and I can't really dig into some of the questions, which is a good segue to, again, encourage you to check out the show notes. I will link to this in the show notes, and I would very much encourage you to download the 2022 Goal Setting Workbook and work through it with me. Moreover, I would encourage you to join the Telegram chat group and connect with others who are doing it well. I posted it there last night. I shared it on social media. I wanted to do it Monday as soon as I got my hands on it, but I wanted to work through it a little bit and see if it was actually worth sharing. And without a doubt, it most certainly is. Finance the financial aspect of things is tremendous. So what we do is we begin with 3-year goals. We analyze where we're at today. We start with some dreams, where we want to be in 3 years, and then where we want to be in 1 year. And then what we can do today, what we can do this week. So by beginning with a dream, followed by a 3-year plan, and then followed by what we can actually do today and this week, gets us in the mindset and prepared for the upcoming year. These thought patterns of working through this workbook, which is lengthy, it's 13 pages, and you're not going to be able to do it in one shot. And quite frankly, I would advise against doing it in one shot. Sometimes people sit down to work through things and they just want to crank it out and get it done. I understand there are times where I am like that in my life with certain projects or certain things that I'm working on. This is not one of them. The way that I've been doing this is utilizing the Pomodoro technique. What's that? It is a simple method of working in 25-minute increments with a 5-minute break, doing that 3 times, followed by a 15-minute break after your 4th Pomodoro work session. Monday night, I sat down and read through this for 25 minutes. Tuesday night, just to get a feel for everything, Tuesday night, last night, I sat down and worked through this for 2 Pomodoro sessions, typing everything out, answering those questions, and inputting my answers into the fields on this editable PDF. The second part, or the second aspect that we talk about, is physical. And I'm going to save that for tomorrow because I really wanted to provide some insight and background on the workbook itself. What factors into that, and really why you should do it. And not only do it, but do it with me. Do it with Andy. Do it with whoever else in the group decides to step up and begin putting a plan together for the dreams that you have, so that when the new year comes, we don't have to think about it and begin assembling the plan, because we've done the work and we're ready to execute on January 1st. This is something that I've failed in doing. Not necessarily failed in doing, because I just didn't ever take this approach. I was aware of it, I suppose, but I never did it. The way that I've done things the past few years, and I've done an episode on this as well in the past, which I'll link to in the show notes just for your reference, for context, but I've done the past year review that was originally outlined by Tim Ferriss. And the article where Tim goes through this exercise is linked to in the show notes of the episode that I did on this, the past year review. And like Tim does, I took that exercise to a whole new level and took it far more in depth than he did. But I've achieved the same result, and I'm pleased with it, and I don't think I went extraordinarily anal retentive by taking his process and modifying it a little bit and creating more work for myself. But the point of bringing that up is because during that time when I would do that, it was always between Christmas and New Year's. That week off that I have, the week off that I take. And I may not be able to take that week off because I used up all my vacation time this year recovering from seizures. So I may be at work during that time. I'm not entirely sure. I may take it unpaid. Who knows? But we're not here to talk about my work schedule and my vacation time. We're going to conclude the episode right here with, again, more encouragement to check out the notes. Move forward with your 2022 goals right now in November, so we can try and have them complete by November 14th, which is 48 days prior to the end of the year. And there is some reason and rationale behind that. But to get that, you're going to have to download the workbook for yourself and see those details in order to gain a better understanding of why. So that's it for today's show, guys. I really appreciate you tuning in. I'm very excited about this process because it's new to me. I've already gained a lot from this process, and I know that you can too if you put in the work, if you're willing to do the work now in order to achieve results, better results than you could ever dream of later. Do it with me. Do it with Andy. Join us over in the Telegram group. And even if you don't join the Telegram group, work through this workbook. Shoot me an email at allaroundgrowth@gmail.com. Let me know how this works out for you. Because, like we read in the beginning of this, I'm convinced we can create a massive ripple effect to contribute to the solutions for a better life for ourselves, our families, our country, and ultimately the world. Guys, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to change my life and create an environment that's more healthy, positive, and beneficial for those around me, my friends, my family, my loved ones, and my community. And by doing that, I think we can have that ripple effect where we ultimately do change the world. There's times where we may not believe in ourselves, Those are times where we need to surround ourselves with people who can lift us up. And it's my hope that the group and community that we're building around this show can do exactly that. We lift each other up when we need that support, and when we don't, we contribute and help lift others up. Dream, plan, act. Go to the show notes, download the workbook, join us, change your life, and change the world. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.